as I was thinking about our session today, I sort of looked back, and when we first started talking about Anaplan, had I been able to acquire your stock, I'd be up over 100% right now,
That's true.
which is absolutely phenomenal. So is that because you guys plan with Anaplan?
Uh, no, we started planning later.
That's perfect. So with just the organization that has such amount of growth as you have, and just have hired so much, maybe we can start to talk about your overall strategy that you took on. So it was unconventional, but initially when we started to talk about, there was so many pieces all over the place. And I was speaking with a client yesterday, and they said, "Ed, um, are all of your clients like us? Are they all so all over the place? They have so many challenges getting things aligned." I said, "Yeah, well, thought about it. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a good thing they do because I have a job that way." So you had a lot of pieces floating around. You were, very much hyper growth mode. Maybe we can just start and talk about your overall strategic vision, and then we'll double click on it and get through it during the discussion as well.
Sure. So before I go into the strategy, so this is my third year at Anaplan Connect.
Yeah.
So if you attended the previous ones, little bit repeat of what we are doing. Uh, and I just came to know today that I'm speaking because Les posted, then it reminded me I'm speaking here today. That's our strategy.
Yeah, Rush showed up about 10 minutes ago. I was a little concerned because I'd be doing impromptu comedy right now.
So I think from a strategy point of view, there's a big advantage that we carry at Synopsys. So we started the digital transformation 3 years ago. And as a part of the strategy, we brought in Anaplan to do the integrated planning and forecasting. That was that's the strategy we started building. Now, the big influence for us was because of digital transformation, we had a lot of kind of leeway and say into how we want to proactively step into this area rather than reactive, like, okay, go and ask for the specific use cases. So it was very like a top down approach. We said, what should be our strategy? Where should we start? And then we will go from there rather than asking, oh, what use cases you want to start. So it was very, very different than at least I know how others do it, right?
Yeah. And I, and I think what was unique about the approach you took, so typically, um, a client says, "Oh, I want to do finance transformation."
Yeah.
Right. And then a lot of stuff we do is outside, and we'll talk about the edge in a minute. But okay, let's go do OpEx. Let's go do, and again, you do OpEx and Anaplan, you probably get something that looks pretty much the way you're doing OpEx currently.
Yeah.
Not a lot of value, but you're really focused on what is going to drive value to build the momentum. And we'll talk about this in a little bit, but we continuously go back and reprioritize what's the burning platforms for your organization, and how can we address that?
Correct. So that's exactly what we did. So we started with, like, instead of thinking about just like planning and forecasting, how can we think about what decisions are we making? So that was a big, big shift for us, like how we approach these use cases. So the first thing we started doing was we started thinking of, like, okay, what is our strategy of the company? And that strategy should be on an Anaplan. So we work with the CSO, our Chief Strategy Officer team, and we build the strategy models first. In parallel, we started the corporate planning models as well, because that is where the major decisions are taken, like how the next 5 years, 3 years are going to look like. And that should derive the downstream projects and models and initiatives, right? So that was a big, big kind of a shift in how we approach this whole Anaplan journey. Now, before we started this on the strategy side, the big advantage we had is that our sales team was already using the compensation management, like the ICM and TNQ, to a large extent. So those were always there. Where we started is when it came from digital transformation, we started with the strategy and corporate model. So thinking from top-down perspective.
So I think one of the things we can double click on that was very unique is your smart global footprint strategy. So like think of, and this is this is a major. I mean, the rate you guys grow, and you're hiring a lot of engineers, and they're not cheap, right?
Yep.
So like, it wasn't only like we're to hire the best talent around the globe, but once you hire them, you got to put them somewhere.
Yep.
So there's a couple use cases we did up front around strategic workforce planning and the real estate.
Yeah.
Because you can't hire somebody if you don't have a place to put them, right? So maybe I'll comment around that and how we enable that strategy with Anaplan.
Yeah. And this goes to the strategy, because whatever you plan, it never goes that way, right? So we started like strategy, corporate, business unit. But then a couple of years ago, when the work from home policy started shifting for the company, so that became a priority. Like, okay, we want to bring people in offices, but do we have enough space? Based on the utilization, like the numbers were telling a different story, because how will you calculate, like, if somebody is coming for 3 days a week or once in a week, like how will you count the utilization of those people, and how should I plan for the facilities? So that became a big problem and issue for us. So we quickly added that use case a couple of years ago. We said that, okay, let's start doing the strategic uh, growth kind of facilities, like, what are the strategic growth opportunities for us, which locations will see the growth in number of employees, and where we need to enable the like workspace. And we started immediately working with the HR team, finance team, and also brought in the our places team, what we call them as. We started working on these models. So the first one was like, can we forecast the headcount properly? So we started focusing on like bringing in the headcount forecast. And then we said, okay, let's look into the utilization rates. Based on the utilization rate, where are we growing? And what is again the strategy of the company for next 5 years? Where do we want to grow ideally? Based on that, we started kind of creating something called as like a smart global footprint. Like, what is our footprint? Where do we want to grow? Do we have enough space or not? And then the facilities growth will drive that kind of a objective for the company. That was a big use case where like all the facilities, people's team and finance team actually work together very well.
Well, finance work with so well. That's an accomplishment, right? So I think I think it's just the vision there, because like if you need to open up a new floor in an existing building, that takes 6 months.
Yes.
If you need to acquire a new building and do a full office retrofit, that takes 8 to 12 months.
Yes.
So being able to figure out how you're hiring based on the demand, aligning that, and then also understand the cost, because it always comes back to the cost of everything as well. So that was tremendous.
That was tremendous. In fact, I'll add one more to that. So not only the floor, but also we started evaluating the floor plans. Like, can we accommodate more people on the same floor? And in fact, the whole facilities design, like the furniture and the meeting rooms and everything's design started shaping up, because there was a push like, how can we accommodate more people where we have shortage of space? So it literally went to that kind of cases. Like in headquarters, the facilities team immediately created a model like this is a future model for the employees for the workplace, and started looking into like those ideas and feedback from the employees. So it actually uh, kind of turned into a very like quick kind of evaluation of like how we are looking at facilities overall.
That's great. And again, it's using Anaplan to make business decisions, that's operational decisions that are truly moving the dial.
Yeah.
Which is great. I mean, I've been doing FP&A use cases for, we'll say, 25 plus years. And a lot of stuff we do, we're sort of scorekeepers.
Yep.
Like we come in and say how things are going to end versus driving actual decisions. And, I think some of these are edge use cases where we're actually able to manipulate what we're going to do and drive better outcomes for the organization.
Yeah.
That's true. So when we did actually get, so we sort of surrounded everything with the edge use cases, demonstrate the value. And then once we started to get into it, we did start with the corporate model. I think a mistake a lot of organizations make is they try to go into the BUs up front. And the problem with the BUs is that your views are very different. They have different perspectives on how they want to plan, what level of detail, this, that, and the other. I think just starting at the corporate, the top of the house, and establishing that standard, and then plugging in, your vision's always been connected planning. Like, how do we plug all this stuff in together? But starting there, before we got into all the detail, and we call it the swamp of the BUs, because everyone does everything differently, and it's very complex. I think that was a very strategic perspective he took, to get some level of standardization in the organization.
Yes, no, that is true. Our big worry was like every BU was planning in a different way. And in some cases, the methodologies were also different by each BU because they prioritized some of the spend and some of the areas like differently than each other because of the nature of the business they were in. So when we created the corporate model, our first was like there's a corporate model and then there are business unit models. We created a layer in between, which is like the full standardized models. So we gave the full freedom to the business unit, said that you can create your own models the way you want it, but it has to feed into the standard model, which will eventually be consolidated into the corporate plan. So that we manage corporate and the standard models. We did not care about how you want to manage internally on the BU side of it. That kind of helped us to have apple to apple comparison, standardize the methodologies across the company. And the biggest problem we always had and was the Excels, right? Like Excel sitting in different BUs.
Excel hell,
Yes.
blood, sweat, and Excel.
Yes. So all these Excels were uh, kind of eliminated because we asked them to come and plan at one place. They had the tool, they had the information, they knew what is going to the corporate leadership, like what is being presented, what numbers, and so on. So it kind of came together for us because then everyone is looking into same set of numbers. Of course, we had tons of challenges. It did not go smooth, obviously, so we had those challenges, but I think we accomplished it.
It and those challenges sort of dovetails in my next question for Raj. So I think a lot of times organizations buy Anaplan, they start in one place, and then Anaplan just sort of stays. And if that's sales or if it stays in supply chain, what I think is remarkable, and as a chief transformation officer, you've got like 45, 50 projects. Hopefully Anaplan's a favorite one. But you were able to like work the organization and get people on board.
Yep.
Right. And I think that's something that's going to be of interest to the folks out there that are in your shoes. Like, how do you approach the organization and say, hey, we know you got a problem. We think we can fix it with Anaplan. We think we can do it very quickly and make it very agile and very scalable. So maybe just talk about the magic you work behind the curtain to get your organization on board.
Uh, I this magic word I'm hearing since yesterday a lot. I don't know why you brought that again, but in fact, yesterday, we were discussing the assumption from the leadership is like, okay, it's a magic wand, like Disney magic, like an Disney Anaplan. If I call it as like, oh, I said tomorrow I'll have it. Uh, Very few people. Obviously, the leadership is it's like communication. We have to make continuously that it's not that easy. It takes time, and it's not about the technology. It's about how we are defining the processes. Are we agreeing to the definitions? Are we agreeing to the process overall, the data components that will feed into the models? So it's very challenging for us to come to those agreements. And still, um, the problems we face is everything is blamed that Anaplan is not working. There's no discussion about that, oh, we don't have the process. I know everyone is laughing here, but that's the truth, right? Like that's how everyone says Anaplan is not working. Anaplan doesn't work. It's not right. But it's a continuous message that we give. Like it's not Anaplan. Do you have the process? Why are these issues popping up? What is the root cause of this? And the problem is one thing: Excel, right? So that's the only problem. Like if you're asking everyone to kind of move away from Excel, which they have used for their lives, and now you're saying you can't use Excel, then it becomes a problem because now you don't have flexibility. And this is something goes back to, if I summarize the challenges, so one is definitely the change, like how we train people. We had multiple trainings to the people, but I think people don't pay attention until something breaks, something they are into, like something they are kind of not able to answer to the leadership. Uh, Number two is the siloed planning. So for the different groups were used to having siloed plannings, like doing their own things. Now, once you bring everything together on Anaplan, now they don't have to call each other, they don't have to ping each other. It's available to them. So it's a big shift for them. And if they don't understand those numbers, they say this is wrong, because in their mind, I did not check, I did not confirm. So again, it goes back to Anaplan is wrong, right? It's not like this number is wrong, it's Anaplan is wrong. Then comes the problems. We see the formulas difference, like, some people were calculating in a particular way, others are calculating in a particular way. Now the numbers are appearing in different ways. So all these issues have started popping up. And again, it goes back to Anaplan is not working, right? So these are the challenges we continuously face. And who gets the first call? I get the first call, even though I don't know how to. I'm not a model builder. I'm not a.
I get the second call because it takes the sign.
So I get the first call like, "Hey, Anaplan is not working. This number is wrong, or this. I have no clue what they are talking about." Right. So the communication is key for us, like how we address those challenges. So we keep communicating on a continuous basis. We something which shifted in last few months. This year, actually, in 2025, we created a steer co for Anaplan, where we bring in these key leaders and we openly talk about the issues, like what they hear, what are the real issues, and what we are doing about those. That has gone a long way for us, and it has kind of made our lives easy. We started a kind of demonstrating some of the Anaplan capabilities and teaching the leaders that this is how it is calculated, this is how you are receiving these numbers. That has gone a long way. It has really helped us to kind of minimize that noise, minimize that uh, kind of issues, because now they are also questioning the teams, like, why are you saying wrong? Now they are asking, why are you saying this is wrong, or why you are saying Anaplan is not working? Simultaneously, we created like a Teams channel so they can post the issues instantly, and there is somebody who is responding to them quickly. And 90% of the cases we saw is the education or lack of understanding of Anaplan rather than the true issue. 90%. So we are solving those issues and kind of doing the trainings and kind of teaching more and more to the people.
That's great. So I think Raj and I use connected planning. That's like old school Anaplan. I think it's decision excellence now. But you know, part of this thing is people are very concerned about how to pull the stuff back together. I know that we were once we get a good foundation built,
Yeah.
it's like we need to now connect this whole thing together and get the processes to work and then data to flow and whatnot. Do you have any thoughts on, because you're very successful in delivering a lot of value and a lot of ROI to the organization up front with a lot of different use cases, and then bringing this all together in a connected planning manner for decision excellence?
Yep. So I think we had a good plan when we started 3 years ago. Uh, it never went that way. Uh, and we were also agile as a team. I think with Ed's team's help and within our own Anaplan teams, like we were pretty agile in adapting to what are the priorities of the organization. So that was a big shift. Like our mindset was the example I gave on smart global footprint, like how we manage the facilities, because that was a problem, instant problem that we had. So we were pretty agile in terms of approaching these priorities of the company simultaneously, like or in parallel to the plan we drafted, like how we will sequence, what models we will bring in on Anaplan, and how we will start connecting. So these two things went hand in hand. The agility that we had is that we started placing the models in different functions. For example, like we have few When we created the facilities model, we also started creating the headcount planning model in finance, which also translated into headcount expense. And now this year we are looking into how it converts to a IT plan. Like you will need laptops and licenses and all those simple stuff. So we started placing these different models in different areas. Once we had this group, like we have strategy, we have corporate, we have BU, we have expenses now, we have revenue forecasting, uh, sales we are yet to connect. We have the integrated business planning happening in SAP IBP for our hardware business. We are now bringing in that data. So we have these different components that are sitting in different functions, but we centrally control, and we started connecting these models. The plan was like a standard definition of the data components, and making sure the different groups are aligned. And once these models are settled, we started connecting them or integrating them. And we started integrating the source systems as well. Like we don't want to upload any data, so we connected SAP, success factors, Salesforce, and multiple other tools.
That's great. And that as you started, when you had this initial vision a couple years ago, you weren't expecting to spin off a major division. And then right now you may be in the small acquisition, you're doing $30 billion acquisition. Yeah, not a big deal. 35 billion, whatever. So, I mean, maybe just talk about like how you were able to think through this and create the agility where you could carve out a major business unit and then merge in a new business unit into the existing organization, really without skipping a beat here.
Yeah. And this goes back to when we started, that was the first point we discussed as a team, that how we create a structure so that in and out can be managed easily. The mapping can be managed easily. That was a heart and core of how we design the Anaplan models. So we devastate in SIG. We devastate in small other businesses. Then now the big acquisition is coming. Our core kind of structure has not shifted, because that's something we developed to kind of like bring in and uh, kick out some of these kind of business units. That was always on the top of our mind, because we knew this is going to happen all the time. We can't just create new models or change the models because of the acquisitions or divestiture. So, and even not even that, like even we split the business units and we merge the business units as well all the time. We split the business groups and business units, all the business groups all the time, functions. So that keeps happening. That is not going to change. But the core central mapping that we created, that remains the same. That has helped us in a big way to kind of manage all these different changes that are happening. So our models are not changing. What we created is that, okay, this model was related to, say, SIG. Now SIG is gone. We just deactivate that model. And when ANSYS is coming next year, once that deal closes, we created an ANSYS model. We just duplicated the current business unit model, and we have some unique nuances from the acquisition that will happen after day one. Once we close the deal, then we will discuss with ANSYS and see what some specific nuances we need to take care into that model. Other than that, we are kind of like, our models are there, they don't change much.
That's great. So I can't have a discussion without talking about Gen AI and AI.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been talking about this for a while.
Yep.
I know it's a top priority from your CFO. And we actually just kicked off our initiative on yesterday, Monday.
Yep.
But maybe just talk about the broader strategy. Now that you got this like amazing foundation, the data's right. The data's automated. It's flexible to let you do divest, acquire. Now, what are we doing with the machine? How does the machine come into place?
So outside Anaplan, actually, we have a what we call it as the whole data strategy and operating model. That's a whole program that we are running across the company. We partner with the engineering transformation team and with the central engineering team as well. on this AI, ML, and data strategy. So our first goal last year in 2024 was to create the data layer and catalog all the data items, because that was the key. Without cataloging, setting the data stewardship, there was no point. So a lot of effort has gone into that last year. It was very slow, but a lot of effort we had to put last year. This year, we are kind of bringing in more and more data and functions and stewards onto the data lake so that they can catalog these items and it is available to us. From connectivity to Anaplan, we connected Anaplan to our Snowflake, which is our data lake. So that is the kind of in and out for Anaplan for us. So which is again, like if somebody is cataloging the data, Anaplan can pick up that data component and use it in Anaplan. So that worked very well for us since last year. The second layer which we started is the AI layer, AI ML layer with the Deloitte team on the precision view. So that's the layer we are keeping on the top of Snowflake, which is basically a huge accelerator for us rather than building ourselves. Huge accelerator. So that is where now we are building the AI models, which will kind of work with Anaplan, work with the other data analytics tools that we have as well. So that is the AI layer. And then the third layer, which we are kind of planning, is like how we can create the Gen AI on the top of it so that it is available to not only to Anaplan but others as well. Like how you extract the data, how you play with it, what kind of a data visualization you want to do. That is something which we are planning this year again.
That sounds great. And there's a lot of heavy lifting, I think, over the last couple of years to get the infrastructure in place.
Yes.
And it feels like we're now at such a level of innovation.
Yes.
So I guess the question is what's next?
Oh. So what next? There is a lot, as you can imagine. Our goal is not to like coming back to the edge use cases, right? So we never focused on the finance only use cases. The goal was that how we can kind of bring Anaplan for decision making rather than just planning and forecasting itself. So we are going beyond like financials, like going to the non-financial plans, whether it is like business unit plans. For example, we are working with the one of the business unit that, okay, what is your 5-year strategy? And based on the 5-year strategy that comes with the strategy office, what is the impact on your business group? Uh, what kind of investments you are going to make in the next 5 years? So bringing in those, like, okay, I will need these investments, which is obviously the finance, like dollars, but there is a non-financial plans that are associated with those. So we will be bringing all those non-financial plans, which will convert into the dollars, which will eventually convert into the decision making for the companies. So that's the focus this year. So AI/ML, then we'll be focusing on the non-financial business unit plans this year. And then next year is like making sure like it stabilizes and works for everyone.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll be around for a couple of years with you.
And nobody complains Anaplan is not working.
Yeah, exactly.